off to my local vegetable fruit market. There we sell some perennials. That was pretty nice. Petunia. What is this? Tropical plant here I'm not familiar with, but there's these flowers. Oh, pretty neat. More petunias, basil. That one looks like oregano. Tropical periwinkles. Got some sempervivums. As long as I keep them in the shade in summer, they're fine. Mimosa, mint. That's the pineapple mint. Strawberries. This is the succulent pelargonium. Very, very fragrant. Up here is my supplies. $3.67 for this big bag. Massive bag here. And $3.46 for Kanuma. So I like coming here because I can get my soil very cheap. Hi, welcome back. My name's Newman. This is my Life with Plants. I just wanted to say that I appreciate everyone that watches my channel, and I hope that you enjoy the content. If you have any requests or anything that you would like me to do, let me know. And I've been looking on everyone that watches my programs. I've been looking on your channels, and I do my best to be able to make time to watch your content, and I enjoy it very much. Sorry if I'm not able to watch everything that you produce. It's the same old story that everybody else has, and that's we got so much to watch these days. There's a lot of content out there, but yeah, I'm gonna try to make sure that I get back to you and your channels and your content and watch more of it. I have a lot more time in the winter, of course, than I do in the summer, and I think that's the same for everyone. And today, going to do a bit of a tour of my plants here and a little talk. So if you want to hang around a little bit and watch that, then come along and join me. Make sure you get a nice cool drink and enjoy watching. Thanks. Hi, welcome back to my Life with Plants. I'm Newman. Let's turn that light on. We're going to have a look at Hoya Matilda, and it's been growing really, really well. So finally these new leaves, when they do come out, they have the nice splash coloring. Kind of goes away a little bit as the leaves get older. Now this one shed a lot of older leaves. Let's have a look. It's still dropping a few, but it's going through a makeover. It's trying to regrow all these new vines and get rid of the old. But it has a nice cluster of flowers open today. And it's from old peduncle. So I try not to cut them off. I like Hoya Mathilde because it has a ciliate, like hair-like structure around the corolla. And in the corona there it's got some yellow and I think some blue or purple, but because of my color blindness I'm not sure. Could even be some pink in there. This one is grown in self-watering. It has a cash pot and it has a terracotta. In these hot tropical countries like I live in here in Japan, it's excruciatingly hot and humid. It's so hot that if you're not conditioned to it, or if you're not a athletes can put up with it, but normal day-to-day people like me who are getting older, pressing on 50, it can be pretty devastating to your health. You've got to be careful. Even though we have overcast days, the temperatures are still up in the 30s, and it's very hard to cool off because of the humidity. You'll be sweating, and the sweat doesn't really cool you off at all. It just doesn't work, and even then you've got to keep drinking a lot of water. So if you do have a trip to somewhere that's tropical, you must drink a lot. And also you need electrolytes, so you need something that replaces the salts in your body. And the plants are the same. So one thing that replaces the salts for them is Epsom salts or magnesium sulfate, which I don't apply every time, but I did water them with Epsom salts last week, and it's just a visual thing. You just visually look at your plants and you know what they need and what they don't need. Self-watering pot is a must here because these plants, especially my Hoyas, can dry right out really quickly, quicker than I would like, and that can cause the root system to die back pretty quickly. I would like to make an apology to anyone watching my program if I've caused you any offense or if I've pressed my opinion too much. I'm well aware of your climate that you are growing your plants in, your Hoyas or your house plants, and it makes perfect sense not to use cash pots so much. I understand that because the winters here are adversely cold, so it's quite an unusual climate here where I live in Japan. Very hot tropical summers, and in the winter it can get down to -5 or -8 degrees, enough so that it can snow. And inside my house, the self-watering I don't use so much. I don't want to keep any water in there at all. I just water thoroughly, and when it's completely dried out I'll water it again. And in the rooms where I do keep my Hoyas, there's no central heating, so that the temperature can be about 10 degrees during the night, and during the day it can climb back up to about 18 degrees. In that kind of weather I don't leave any water in the cash pot. It'll rot the plant. So you've got to be really careful when you have self-watering pots. If you do have central heating, you're able to keep your temperature above 20 to 25 degrees constantly during the winter. The cash pots are fine, but you have to be careful. If I was living in a cooler climate like Dave from Sober Plant Guy, He grows his in terracotta, and he does grow them in much larger pots. In his climate, his plants are stimulated to grow a whole lot more root system because it's a little drier, and I'm pretty sure that when he opens the windows and that, he gets a cooler breeze than we do here. We get a humid, like a furnace opening the window. It feels like a furnace is blowing in there, or a hair dryer, as I call it. And in his climate, he grows in terracotta, and he chooses larger pots, and those larger pots are because the root systems can grow bigger and more more vigorous, and it's in a more chunky mix. And you look at the results of his plants, it just shows that he knows what he's doing. And another person that I watch is planted in Rhode Island, and it's Rod. And Rod does self-watering, but I'm pretty sure he has central heating and stuff like that, and his plants are taken off like a rocket, his Hoyas, and growing really well. So yeah, I just want to say that all the advice that's given is because the us growers are really excited about our plants, and we just want to show how they're doing and how they're thriving, and we want to share that information. And it's not easy to estimate or understand another person's climate at all. I have some knowledge of that because I've lived in many countries over the years, and I've experienced different climates, so I can understand very well. Yeah, anyway, this Hoya Matilda has really put out a lot of fresh new growth. It's in a smaller pot because of the fact that, as I've mentioned before, if I put them in bigger pots, it can be hard for me to control the watering and that, and I do have a extreme climate. It's extremities. Makes it very hard, actually, even though it might sound like heaven. It can be really hell at times, and I just do what I have to do to get my results. Okay, in this room here, this can get really hot in the afternoon there. So we have the shutters, as you know. I have my philodendron here, heartleaf philodendron. So I love this plant, so common. And in this room here, I have a phalaenopsis that let's poke my finger in. Yeah, I can give it some water. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I have to. Oh, I got this sticky thing on me. I have to let them dry right out before I water them again because of my climate. When it gets very humid, it can cause rot if the plants are standing in water, if they're orchids. So the moss is really good for me and for the phalaenopsis in particular, because they don't want to dry out really fast. They want to dry out gradually, but they don't want to be soaked. So they just want a nice moist media. And if I use the chunky media, and I do, I have that in the other rooms, it's a little trickier and harder for me to keep up with the watering or maintaining just moisture level. And the plants can wrinkle a lot. For example, I would have like leaves that are desiccated and wrinkled, which is but however, if I do grow in sphagnum moss indoors, I get a much better result with my phals just because of my climate. Got some nice propagations coming away there, Hoya Deikiae. I'm pretty sure that if anyone wanted one, I'd be really happy to get that. I mean, look, I would. Unfortunately, Calistophylla lost 2 leaves because I got some afternoon sun, so it destroyed those leaves. Over here, I'm really happy that this Calathea burl marks is still growing and looking good, thanks to the fan. The fan's on non-stop, if I didn't have the fan, I'd have a lot of trouble with my calatheas, and of course the hardiest one. And if you watch Sheffield Plants, I think it's called Sheffield's Plants there in England, he always states that Calathea makoyana is the easiest to cultivate, and I agree with that. It's been easy, one of the easiest ones. Just don't mind this kind of thing. They're just sensitive to the fact that they're not growing in their pristine environment, which is underneath the canopy of other trees, and they react to extremities in temperature, which we have here. You can have extremely cold nights, and in our winters it gets very dry and it causes this. But during the summertime you get better growth. You've seen this one before. This is like my nurse plant for my Calathea here. It's getting those beautiful, beautiful new leaves coming through, thanks to this spathiphyllum here, peace lily. It's the variegated domino, I think, and unfortunately domino has an oblique leaf, which can confuse you and think, oh my gosh, what have I done? Am I doing something wrong with my watering? It's just something that's been passed on with this genetic thing, and every now and then you get a perfect shaped leaf. And over here is my cane begonia, Juanita's jewel, which is great because this thing is still growing. A lot of the other begonias are outdoors now. They couldn't take the heat. We got a little peace lily there. I'm still in the middle of watering today, and as I said before, yes, I have some of my Hoyas growing in Akadama, and once again, don't think I'm mad or crazy or anything. I have this climate that requires me to have a extra moist mixture. However, it does breathe, and a lot of moisture can go through it and bring oxygen through to the roots. It's not stodgy or sticky by any means, and it doesn't sound like the kind of soil that a Hoya would grow in, but they've been doing so well that what can I say? I can't argue with it. And once again, if you live in a cooler climate, you probably wouldn't want to do this because it may be just too moist for too long. But here it's just ideal. They require it. It's my fairy castle there. It's getting a little like light green these days, so I gave it the Epsom salts. We're going to see how that goes. Beautiful cluster, of course. We've seen this before. It smells like chocolate, but you all know that. But I love my Hoya Carnosa Hindu rope very much, and I did repot it, as I said. Over here I gave this Philodendron bezoar a haircut. I cut it back, and this sends out new growth from the top. It was pretty dry. It was almost close to bone dry. That's too dry, so I got to keep my eyes peeled. Almost ready to bloom is this Hoya calistophylla. It's looking suspiciously like it wants to drop buds, but it's not going to drop them. They're going to flower. Making sure that this one is quite a drinker, so I do keep water in the reservoir down there. I wouldn't keep it in there during the winter, but now it requires it. It drinks it all up. Lovely flowers on Hoya Sunrise. Hoya Sunrise is my favorite Hoya, I have to say. The fragrance is just, it's gardenias. And if you don't know what a gardenia is, or if you do, this is almost like a gardenia. It's quite similar. The similarities in the fragrance is there. It's an amazing smell, and it's growing really well, and it's in a pot that's too small for Dave. Dave would have a heart attack and want to repot this, and that's because his climate requires that. Here I got to keep them in smaller pots because of the watering factors. I can get the wool pulled over my eyes pretty quick. We can have a dive in the temperature in autumn, and I've kept some water in there, and it just gets the rots. Unfortunately, this is how sunrise is. And so this actual cache pot is not to hold any water at all. It's actually to stop it drying out too fast in between waterings. And another plant that's like that is Peperomia Hope. I used to, or tried, keeping a little water in there, but leaves would start to go mushy and soft and drop off. And it's just one of those plants that wants to be watered and have everything drained out, and then it doesn't like oversaturation. It just likes to be saturated, and any excess needs to leave the roots, to go away from the root system. Then it likes to dry out quite slowly after that. Up here we got two more leaves popping open on my Hoya Carnosa Crimson Princess, and this one is thirsty, so I just go with the flow. I go with how it wants to be cultivated, and I keep water in there. It's like a good 2 inches of water these days in this hotter weather, and it's growing like crazy. Hopefully it'll put out some more flowers again. Little update on this Hoya Carrier. It's looking much better, to me anyway. I've been touching the leaves and the turgid, so they're holding the water in there, and we got some growth starting there, and if this growth continues, then we know that the root system is kicking back in there. Up here, the Hoya rotundifolia. Okay, one didn't make it. It's right here. These other ones looking fine. I had to restart that. They're up here. I have another two that are looking good. So I've got to get on with the watering again. Water these tillandsias, which I water like every second day, up to 5 times a week. Just that thirsty. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, that's it from me. Don't forget that looking after your plants is not a chore, it's part of your self-care. Give you peace and tranquility. It's a good hobby to have. And if you watch my programs regularly, then thanks for watching. I appreciate you coming along to see my plants, and I like to share them. Yeah, so I think I'm going to try to get outside and do some of my favorite cacti again. I'm going to introduce some other ones. Alright, and that's it for today. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.